Diana Waring, and I'm glad you're here. Today, I'm going to answer questions you've asked on social media, questions about homeschooling and the lifestyle that goes with it. On Facebook, Alyssa brought up one of the big issues homeschoolers face. How does one deal with meeting all the needs of small children, school, household tasks, outside activities, etc., and stay sane? That's a great question. She adds, it's really hard to try to make each one feel loved and special and secure when you're totally frazzled and so far behind with everything, and the tunnel just keeps getting darker and longer. Well, I'm glad you asked, because it's really easy to talk about the idea of homeschooling. It's far harder to actually do it. So let's see if we can pinpoint a few potential areas to help you unfrazzle. First, I have to say that homeschooling your kids is one of the most challenging and demanding jobs on the planet. Not that teaching them how to add 2 + 2 is impossibly hard, obviously, but teaching them, mothering them, feeding them, keeping the house together, running errands, being on 24/7, it's really huge. Your working hours run from first thing in the morning till you close your eyes to sleep. And often you're up taking care of a child in the middle of the night. And I didn't even mention spending time with your spouse, seeing friends, or having a moment to yourself. That's the fine print in the job description that can chew you up and wear you out. So if this lifestyle is going to be sustainable, it's time to examine what all you're trying to do and then to think through what activities are absolutely vital for right now and what things really can be put on the back burner for later. It's critically important to dial down your expectations of what you can accomplish, especially when you have small children. Ask yourself what you really care about, like making each one feel loved and special and secure. And then add the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, in measured doses appropriate for their ages, plus regular meals, playing outside, some laundry, and enough sleep to be refreshed. Try this for a week. Really, say no to everything else just for a week. And then as you get a sense of what it feels like to not have too much on your plate, you can add back in, little by little, other things you really want in your schedule. But I promise you, you can't do it all. The other big-time trap that homeschool moms can fall into is trying to follow a heavy academic schedule when their kids are young. Sounds reasonable to begin early with teaching them everything they need to know, but the reality is that the most important thing we can give to our children in their early elementary years is a love for learning and a love for reading. These 2 elements will open a door to discovery and knowledge that will remain open for the rest of their lives. It's one of the things we as homeschoolers can excel at. Our kids can love learning and love reading if we go about this wisely. So how do we do it? I love to use the illustration of building a campfire for this. What happens if you bring big logs and drop them into your fire pit? You strike a match and you hold it to the logs. What happens? Nothing. The logs are simply too big. Their immensity overwhelms the little spark. But on the other hand, imagine starting with a few dry twigs and some crumpled up paper. Now, when you strike the match, it'll begin to flame up. You gently blow on this little flame to encourage it, and then you can add in bigger sticks, which will catch on fire. Little by little, you add increasingly large pieces of wood, and eventually, you can put those big logs right on the fire, and they'll happily burn. That's just like our kids. If we plunk down heavy academics on their plate right away, they're going to be overwhelmed, and that spark of curiosity and interest in learning is going to be crushed. But if we start with something they find interesting, if we read a fascinating book out loud and then have them do a hands-on science project or paint a picture or put on a puppet show about the book, then the spark of curiosity catches their attention and they want to do more. Little by little, we add to the fire with bigger books and harder projects until by 5th or 6th grade, they're able to handle the heavier loads that would have crushed them when they were younger. And here's the deal. When we approach learning in this way, it's not burdensome for you or your kids. They won't fight you on it because they're interested. They're enjoying the learning experience. That creates an entirely different environment in your home, believe me. When you're not having to drag your kids through each lesson like you would a mule, but instead you run alongside them as they race into projects, you're going to find that homeschooling is actually a pretty amazing and wonderful experience. Really, I'm living proof that it can actually happen. Next week, I'll tell you more about getting beyond survival and into abundant life homeschooling. See you then.